Thanks, listeners. Thank you for joining us on a Monday. And today is the day we're catching up because we've missed we missed a day just with our school superintendent, CJ Anderson. So today is our catch-up day for Elko County school news and issues. We appreciate you joining us for today's program. And we really appreciate our superintendent, CJ Anderson, for being in studio with us today. CJ, it's a pleasure to take some of your time. You've been really, really busy. The whole staff has.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on again. And, I apologize to you individually and, apologies generally. We just couldn't make it happen in January. It was that busy. And even this month, we had to move the dates around. There's a lot going on. And I really do enjoy coming here and having these conversations with you. So thank you for the time.
Absolutely, CJ. And no worries at all. We are here to accommodate. We just appreciate your time, as I said. And we could start off with the most recent news because, again, a lot of your work takes you to the state level. And you were successful on behalf of Elko County, and you and the staff, if you wanted to talk about securing some funding that is greatly anticipated and should be really good news.
Yeah, we were pretty excited about it. So back to the last legislative session, Senate Bill 231 saw the state appropriate about $250 million to school districts across the state. And that was specifically for the purpose of increasing teacher salaries and support staff salaries. It doesn't apply to administrators or school administrators or district administrators. But what that money did was, every district had a proportional amount depending on how many employees you have against how many employees there are in the state. And so in our case, that amount came out to be about $7.3-ish million that we were eligible to apply for. And just for some context as to how you can receive it, it wasn't just like, here's your portion, now go give raises. It was money that was intended to reward districts who are already assigning raises through their general fund and the funds that they have available to them. And so in order to be eligible for those $7 million, we had to also already have committed at least that much or more in raises over this biennium. And so, in the papers in the last 2 or 3 months, even as recently as last week when we had the negotiation agreement with the administrators union, and they were able to negotiate their raise for this biennium. We had to have those in place, and then so they got their 11% over the 2 years, and then that made it so that we were then eligible to receive this money from the state. If we, alternate universe, if we just said, hey, business isn't great right now, we're just not going to be able to give raises, then not only would we have not given raises, but then we would have not been eligible for this basically matching money. And so we got all of our numbers in order and formulas and all that, and we went and presented, and they approved the plan the way we wanted to do it. And so we'll be able to get that out soon to the teachers and support staff for this year and for next. And we're really excited about that.
That's great. And so that should really, not that morale was off, but certainly just coming off of COVID, some classrooms are crowded, a lot of different issues, right, CJ? So that should help the raises across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate so much what our teachers and support staff do for us and for our students every day. Almost the single most important impact that a student has in their education is their teacher and the adults that help support them at school every day. And we haven't always been able to give good raises, and the infusion of money that came from the state this year with that $2 billion influx across the state made it possible for us to do this 11% over 2 years. And so to then on top of that commit another $250,000 that could be utilized is great. It's very much appreciated, and our staff, they deserve it. They deserve a lot more than that too. Sticking within budget as best we can. That's what we're able to do right now, and going to continue to advocate for more from the state, because Nevada still is significantly underfunded compared to many other states. But can't change the world in one wave of a wand. We gotta work at it little by little, and we're here for that work. And so we're grateful for what we have right now, and hope and know that the staff will be grateful for the raises as well.
Now, not to put you on the spot, but I know it was mentioned that administrative staff is not included, CJ, and not asking you to sing your own praises, even though you've gotten great reviews by the School Board of Trustees. But administrators are on every campus throughout the district. So is there any consideration toward their salaries in the future?
Yeah, I guess that's to be determined. So as far as the SB 231 money goes, from what I presented on last week, none of that. They're just not eligible for it. And should we had tried to implement that somewhere in there, it would have been caught and rejected, and it would have been a misuse of those funds. So unfortunately, we just weren't able to do that. Just like I said, there's the administrators just had their contract negotiated for these 2 years for this biennium. Certainly considerations can be made for the next time around, depending on, how temporary or how permanent this Senate Bill 231 money is. And each union, independent of the others, negotiate for those raises. And so always, again, just like we're always trying to find a way to appropriately compensate our teachers, our support staff, the same goes for our administrators. And even in discussions, there were more things that we could that they could potentially be looking for, and just kind of already have it on the mind for future negotiations. Hey, maybe this is a way we can help out and make sure they're being taken care of the way we want to take care of them.
All right. Thank you, CJ Anderson, our school superintendent. Again, we can call this the money show because it's that time of year. And we were also wondering about the latest on AB 519. That's the Owyhee school funding bill and piece. And then there's whether or not it's concurrent or separate, but there's the capital improvement oversight panel that was appointed by Elko County recently. So those two things are kind of separate, but they're similar.
Well, they're all intertwined under the AB 519, and very important to note is while the $64.5 million that went to Owyhee as part of that bill, not being critical of you. A lot of people just call it the Owyhee bill because it's easier than remembering AB 519. But that bill in and of itself was actually meant to be more of a rural capital improvement. Bill for rural schools really is what it boils down to, and because there is that big appropriation for the Owyhee school, but there was also funds for matching from county funds, things like that. There's other elements in there, but that the Owyhee school is the one that drew the most interest. But so in that bill there is language about an oversight panel, and that panel met for the first time. I want to say it was last month in January, and was able to attend that meeting. And they kind of met. They established their kind of what their role is, what they're trying to do. They asked for an update from us on where we are with the design and starting phases of the Owyhee school project. We're pretty much done with design, just working on finalizing some interlocal agreements between the school district and the tribal council out there. They actually just on Friday had a low-key groundbreaking for that area, and so just finishing up a lot of preparations. It feels like from an outsider perspective, it might look like not much is happening at this point, but when you have a project of this magnitude, there's quite a lot of groundwork to be laid before you ever actually start tearing stuff up and putting foundation and that sort of thing. So those initial phases are pretty much wrapped up, and we're getting ready to go, and should be prepared to start actually doing construction once the ground thaws and it's ready for that. So we're getting pretty close and should start seeing some progress pretty soon.
Well, and not to complicate the topic or to certainly discourage any of the progress, but we do know Elko County commissioners voted unanimously at their recent meeting. They're suing over the legislation, not over the funding piece because they appreciate that, but over the language that's contained within that bill directing this specifically toward Elko County. CJ, any comments from you on that?
I support legislative bodies and the commission and anyone else who feels like they're doing something for the right reason. I have a different perspective on the whole, but I absolutely am okay with them making that decision. It's far beyond me as to what's constitutional or not constitutional. I hear people throw around the word constitutional a lot as in regards to what is and isn't constitutional, and I know what a lot of my basic rights are, but I don't know the constitutionality of every single bill and proposal that comes through. So I feel like I'd be way outside my lane to say what is and isn't constitutional. What I do know is that I greatly appreciate any efforts that are made towards our schools receiving an adequate amount of funding, and especially right now as it pertains to capital improvement funding, because we presented to that oversight panel, and I would assume that the rest of the commissioners have seen the same document, which details the many, many capital improvement needs that exist, from mechanical upgrades to compromised roofs to many other issues. But I mentioned the ones that are most important and could effectively disable a school at a moment's notice if they're not resolved in a timely manner. And pretty much no construction projects are happening quickly these days. So thinking to myself of, we'll get this funding 2 years down the line and then we can get this project going, and thinking about the possibility of not getting to a certain roof or to a certain heating system for 4 or 5 years is very concerning. And so I am an advocate for anyone who is trying to make sure our schools are safe and in good shape for our kids, and for people who are trying to do the right thing. And so I think that is how I'm going to answer your question.
And you did, and thanks, CJ. Appreciate that. I know that for Kevin Higbee, I think the financial services director for the school district, the assistant superintendent, it put him in a little bind when he was at the meeting. Although
Ken Higbee?
Ken Higbee, yes,
yeah,
thank you.
He's actually he's our special services director. He just, I assign my directors to kind of be stewards over certain schools and support certain administrators, and Ken got the assignment of kind of being our representative to a WIHE, since I can't be in all places at all times. And so Ken greatly helps out with the WIHE. And so he's been involved all along the way, has a great relationship with the tribal council, and is a big part of why they're so willing to work with the school district right now, and how good our relationship has been the last year or so. But sorry, I interrupted you on
he
that.
did. No, you didn't interrupt. Yeah, and thank you for making his title clear. I think what he did at the meeting was express that while he understood and could sympathize with the county commission, nobody likes to be told what to do, especially when you're your own elected body. Like the school trustees like to take care of their business, and county commissioners stay in their lane, and city council and everybody kind of goes about their business.
Yeah, I think we can all sympathize with that perspective.
So interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So looking on to, unless there's other issues that you came back from attending to at the state level, we could look at some things closer to home, CJ, or I'll make sure we get to everything on your list today.
Yeah, I think that's probably it from a statewide level.
That's a lot. So we do know that recently the Elko County School District did suspend the 4-day school site, the on-site activities. Those have been discontinued, and for good reason.
Yeah, so when the 4-day model was approved last, I want to say it was April, maybe, March or April, it was approved with certain kind of stipulations of needs we would try to still make sure we meet, that we don't leave certain demographics or contingencies of our student body and those families without services that they would need. And so a couple of those services included meals on Fridays and then tutoring and enrichment services on Fridays as well. Just trying to basically say, well, obviously the vast majority of people voted to go 4-day. However, there were plenty who also didn't vote to go that way. And so, trying to anticipate what some of those reasons would be, and one of those would be food insecurity. So in every community, we had a designated school site that was preparing and serving meals on Fridays. And what we found after about 3 to 4 months of doing that was it was being vastly underutilized. We made the food, we had it ready, we built it, but they didn't come, so to speak. And so we don't interpret that to mean that there are not people with food insecurity issues, but just that they must be being met in other ways, because despite our best efforts to advertise, to make it available, to just have it there for people as they needed it, it just wasn't being utilized to the point where it made a whole lot of sense to keep doing it for the sake of people's time, for the sake of cost, etc. So that was suspended, and then so was the Friday tutoring, because it was the same kind of the same situation. Schools were inviting people, and they just they weren't making it out on Fridays for those additional learning opportunities. So either too busy or didn't feel that need was there. So, yep.
So the good news is that there are still plenty of places to get both food as well as tutoring or some alternate activities. We were just mentioning this California Trail Interpretive Center, Nevada Outdoor School. You said Communities and Schools is doing some of the lifting?
Yeah, we have just an amazing partnership with Communities and Schools. So we have certain sites. We have 9 sites that actually have a Communities and Schools I'm going to say representative. I can't remember, coordinator. I can't remember what their title is, but a person at 9 of our schools. However, they also have these general services that can be offered to schools even if they don't have a coordinator at their site. And Communities and Schools is helping very specifically with food. They have food bags or backpacks or what have you that they can send home with students as they leave school on Thursday, and it's got meals for Friday, Saturday, Sunday in there for those students, and it's a wonderful service that they offer. And like I said, it's pretty seamless for the kids that go to the schools where they have a coordinator. But we also know that if and principals have communicated this with people that they know to communicate with, that if there's a need that exists at any school from a food insecurity situation, just to let Communities and Schools know, and they will find a way to make sure that food gets to that campus for that student, so that when they go home on Thursday, they're not going home without needed food for the weekend.
That sounds great. I know Ignite Life Chiropractic was doing their Undie 500 drive, so they're collecting new underwear, packaged socks and underwear for students of all ages, pre-K through high school, through teenagers, and you can drop those off at their location, and they distribute them through Communities and Schools. Boys and Girls Club, also the clubs do after school, obviously, or Friday activities and meals. Mybrary, those are just some of the places, obviously. And then the Family Engagement Center does a lot, right, CJ, to connect families?
Yes. Our Family and Community Engagement Center works closely with Communities and Schools, with a lot of these providers, to make sure that our families have needs met, whether that's through supplies or through food, or they also connect people to mental health resources. There's really quite a bit that goes on there to make sure that, as if someone doesn't explicitly know about how to fulfill a need that they think maybe the school could or should be meeting, there's a really good chance that already exists, and the Family and Community Engagement Center is pretty great about making sure to redirect people towards whether we have the resources or they know where the resource is, making sure people get directed to those resources.
Excellent. And then just one more mention that our friends at the Yoko County Mybrary are also offering Friday activities and ongoing things that students can participate in, and even offering research if they're, for example, involved in the STEM fair, which is coming up March 11th through the 14th. So that's cool.
Yeah. I absolutely love this. Like that's the beauty of a community, right? Is no single entity is expected to do all the heavy lifting. You have people who are willing to meet those needs and help their community out, and we're very happy to partner with such wonderful organizations.
Well, in fact, February is CTE Month, CJ, and so we had Heather Steele, your facilitator, on the air, and she does a great job in making all those community connections. GBC offers CTE Fridays, especially for area students who are out of school on Fridays, and you can find out more about that on the school's website. I saw that Kayla has a banner up there specifically for that. And just a lot of ways for the community, as you said, to be engaged and be a collaborator with what the school has going on. I don't know if you had any special mentions for CTE Month in particular, or we know that the Firefighter Academy is ongoing, and that got started, and I think students are pretty excited about the prospect.
Yeah, that's one thing. I can't remember everything Heather covered and what she was going to go over, but it's really, the list is too exhaustive just to
She's a busy
share
lady.
here. There's
Yeah.
so much going on, and what I love about her is she's always thinking of what's something more we can do. How can we get more people involved? Even trying to figure out creative ways to try to get CTE pathways with our students who are at Battleborn Youth Challenge Academy. No obstacle is too big in Heather's mind, and we're really lucky to have someone who's so passionate about CTE programs. Couple programs that are really in their infancy still, and I'm excited about in the future. We have our Teach and Learn program with high school students who are potential future educators as teachers. So that's in its kind of early stages, and we're still looking at how to grow and make sure that program is meeting the intent of what it is. The collaboration with GBC and the School of
Mining Excellence? MTC, yeah.
I was trying to make sure I got that one right. The School of Mining Excellence, and then you mentioned the fire science, and from all of that to trying to find ways to get academic credit for CTE courses, and she's very, very busy, and it's one of the things that I'm, that I think is a real credit to Elko County and what we do here, because every district around the state has its things that they can hang their hat on, and one of ours is what we do with STEM and with CTE, and there's a lot going on in that realm, and Heather does a good job. So we're really proud of those programs, and we know, very importantly, it's worth mentioning that there's an extremely strong connection between how involved students are in CTE programs, and how likely they are to graduate, and how likely they are to go on immediately to post-secondary success. And so getting involved and kind of engrossed in those CTE programs is so beneficial for our students. It's not just about having a CTE seal on your diploma or anything like that. It's about the skills that they learn, the applications they can have in life, and about the way it involves them, and they feel a part of something. And so we love our CTE programs, and we love Heather and all those teachers who bring those programs to our students.
Oh, and that's nice that you mentioned it is a collaborative effort, CJ, and it is about inspiring students. And Heather talked about that when she was on the radio, that, hey, they work just as hard. If students are interested in academia, then that's what they're going to help promote as well. If they're interested in the arts, so it's not exclusive, or it's not about just one specific area or the trades or anything. It's about inspiring students to do any number of things. Just have a path, right? Have a goal, have something. We always told Olivia, it's okay, you don't know what you want to do. Just kind of be doing something, and then something else will come up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one of the major goals of what we can do with our, it starts earlier than high school, but when they're in high school, I think the idea is to give as much exposure as possible to different opportunities, so kids can start to form an idea of, this really interests me, this is what I'm passionate about. And we don't exist, in my mind, and this may sound real myopic, but we don't exist to tell kids how to be successful. I think we exist to help kids find what their passion is and help them be successful at the thing they want to do, what they're passionate about. And I'm not going to tell someone this is the career you ought to go into. Someone can decide what they want to do, what makes them tick, what's important to them, and then it's our job to help facilitate that and help them grow in that area and be the best they can be at what they want to do. And so that's what we're aiming to do. And in some places, depending on your resources and availability, it's a little tougher to do than others, but we're doing the best we can in all of our communities to help our students be successful at what they want to be successful at.
Making it happen with the Elko County School District. CJ Anderson is our school superintendent, as He's talking about these school issues on Elko Live today. And we have about 5 more minutes. We started a little late. We had a lot of sponsors, commercials. That's not a bad thing, CJ. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's always good to have that support. So that does bring us to the important topic, though, of mental health initiatives. And we are going to remind everyone that it is a priority for not only this community right now, but through the school district to support students, to support families, and to acknowledge that it's okay to not be okay. And there are support services, and they're not services, they're people. They're people, the Hope Squad, my gosh, when I saw them in the most recent parade that we had, and oh my gosh, CJ, it just thrilled me to see these students. They're there supporting their peers, and that's what we really need more of right now. The world needs love, right?
Yep. I really do appreciate all the... It's another one of those things that I'm particularly proud about with our school district lately, and that is how much attention we're giving to, again, trying to meet needs. A lot of the times it's like, well, the school should be teaching kids how to read and write and do math, and we're working real hard on that too. But we know when your most basic functions and needs aren't being met, to expect someone to do really well on their reading assignment or their math or their science or whatever content they're studying, if they're not psychologically, physically, mentally, socially okay, it's really hard for people to focus on learning. And so just doing our best to provide resources as best we can. And you mentioned the Hope Squad, and that's going really great in its early stages as well. Just the other day, I was somewhere random. I don't even remember where I was, but there in front of me was one of those awesome sweatshirts that the Elko Federal Credit Unions provided all of our Hope Squad kids with, and it's on the back of the T-shirt or sweater. It says something like, "Hey, you person behind me, you're." Just wanted you to know you're loved, from the person in front of you. Like, it was a great thing to see out in the wild, so to speak, right? Like, I've seen it at schools before because they wear them for certain initiatives, but that was a student just wearing that out in the community, and you never know who's looking at that stuff, who needs something, and so it was. I love seeing that. And we've talked before about the parent coaching. We've talked about the on-demand parent courses. We've talked about free virtual mental health therapy sessions. We have all of these things available through what we offer, and then of course we've talked about the webinar series that we've been doing since the fall. We have our third one coming up. It's a week from tomorrow, so it's on February 20th. And the topic this time is your child's anxiety. We know that anxiety is very real, and it impacts people from all walks of life, and it usually manifests itself in people in very different ways. So it's hard just to be like, oh, well, this is what you do for anxiety, right? Or this is what it looks like when someone has anxiety. It can be very, very different, which shouldn't come as a surprise to us, because no matter if you have the same belief system, even if you have the same DNA as somebody else, the way you process, we're all unique individuals and human beings, and the way we process and work through things is necessarily going to be unique as well. And so anyway, this is a webinar about how to help your child with their anxiety, and things to look for, and how you can help them, and where other resources and helps are located. And so I'm excited about it. So again, that's next Tuesday, February 20th, and that starts at 6 p.m. The registration links for that are found on our district website. There's a button when you go to our main website, ecsdnv.net. Up in the top right corner, it's like a live link where it says mental health resources. And when you go there, you can not only find the registration for this webinar, which you can watch it in English or in Spanish, but it also has the playback recordings of our previous two, which were about social media and I think it was signs of suicide. Was that the? I'm drawing a blank on the most recent one. I can find it real quick. But anyway, those recordings are also there from the previous ones. Very importantly, though, we do want people to register for those. It's because not only Does it help us get accurate numbers of how well the resource is being utilized? But then if you're unable to make it at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, it will email you the recording afterward, and you can have immediate access to that. I need to correct what I said earlier. The one about signs of suicide, that's actually our next upcoming one. The one from last month was Helping Your Child Succeed, was the name of the webinar. So anyway, all of that's there on our resources page. We have so many resources that I can't even keep straight and keep track of what they all are. But really, really happy with our partnership with parentguidance.org and the Cook Center for Human Connection and Hope Squad and Elko Federal Credit Union and all the people, of course, all of our local resources and providers as well. So it's going great in that regard, and I think we're making great strides.
CJ, thank you so much. So much behavioral health support at the Elko County School District, parentguidance.org. That's for everyone. If you care about kids and the community, you can find some great resources there. And I want to make sure, CJ, we got a lot of ground covered today, but did we get to things that you were hoping to? We've got time, so...
I guess we could shout out our STEM fair. That's coming up in March.
March 11th through 14th, yeah.
Yeah, March 11th through 14th. That's I think that's something that that maybe the residents and students and teachers of Elko County take for granted. This STEM fair is a massive undertaking, and I know it's been around for a long time, so it may just seem like, oh, it's something we do every year. This is not a normal thing that's done everywhere. This is quite a massive undertaking and something that's pretty impressive and really, I think, vital for our community. We, the whole world of STEM or STEAM, depending on, which acronym you're looking at, it's really about, it kind of ties back into what we were talking about earlier with CTE, and that's helping all students, regardless of their age, their gender, their background, et cetera, see the applications of STEM in their life and get them started at an early age. And we've seen the benefits of this. We've seen our winners of the STEM fair go to the national competition and gain full scholarships or half scholarships to prestigious universities. Like it's a wonderful opportunity. I love seeing the kids get excited about it and do their projects. And so, March 11th through 14th, we have that going on, and lots of thanks to all of our teaching staff that is heavily involved in coordinating that. There's someone at almost every campus who's doing a lot of work to make sure that their kids are getting that opportunity, and looking forward to seeing the wonderful projects kids come up with. So that'll be coming soon, and anyone can go look at those projects once they're up there. We'll make sure to promo it again early next month, but definitely want to encourage parents to have their kids participate in that and be inquisitive and take part.
Yep, I just wanted to mention quickly one of those students, and I probably shouldn't mention one because I know there are others of you and your parents and grandparents are listening, but one of my most memorable science fair interviews came with a very talented young woman, Hannah Margulies, and just to give you a couple of her credentials, she was a science fair winner, went on to the National Science Fair. She's a graduate student at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, known as MIT. She is an undergrad researcher at a couple of different labs, well, in fact, from Griswold Lab to Caltech. She is also post-bac at National Institutes of Health, studied at Dartmouth, lives in Cambridge right now. Just a very talented, generous, successful young lady, and I know for a fact that science fair gave her a huge boost. Even before it was STEM, it was science fair. So, and that's just one example right here from Elko High School.
Yep, I love it. Sometimes people unnecessarily put boundaries on what they can accomplish because of where they're from, that sort of thing. Really, we have the resources in our community and the quality of individual to make anything happen. It just goes back to what I was saying before. Is it's not up to us to determine the route people go. It's up to us to make sure they have the supports they need to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And she's a perfect example of that. And really, any one of our kids from from Elko to West Wendover to Jackpot to Carlin, the whole school district. If someone
Spring
wants
Creek, yay.
Spring Creek, all of them, yeah,
Yes.
Wells,
I know.
everybody. I was just trying to think of the extremities when I
know,
was doing
me
that.
too.
Owyhee,
I do that too.
like
Yep.
wherever they're from, if they want to accomplish these goals and go on to great things, you have the resources here. I mean, the scholarships I was mentioning from the STEM fair from the last couple of years, those students came from Owyhee. Like the opportunities are there, and so let's support our students to be able to accomplish their goals.
And in parting, let's support our school superintendent, CJ Anderson, who does not leave the A out of STEM. It is STEAM all the way with Little
boy.
Shop. Just giving you a little chance to plug the performance that's coming up. You guys are on stage at GBC.
Yeah, so actually that same week of the STEM fair, March, I believe it's 12th through the 16th. The Overland
Stage.
is,
Yeah.
I can't remember what comes after the word Overland, but they're putting on a production of Little Shop of Horrors, a great classic musical theater production, and looking forward to being in it. I questioned whether or not I was going to have the time to do it again, but just ended up, okay, let's do it. And it's been great. I really have enjoyed the rehearsals and got to know a lot of new people. And I'll be playing the role of Mr. Mushnick, who is the flower shop owner and grumpy grumpy man. So I'm channeling my inner grumpy person. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. We got about a month to go before the show and lots of preparation still to go, but I feel like it's in a really good place at the moment. I was just reflecting last week during rehearsals. I was like, I feel like I have a kind of more of a role this year than I did last year, but I feel like I'm at a better place this year than I was last year. And so, and that kind of is with everybody. Everyone seems to be doing pretty well, and the set's starting to come together, and rehearsals are starting to get real. And so we're excited about it. Should be a lot of fun, and really encourage everyone to come support. We've got, from a school district standpoint, I'm in there. There are students that are in there. There's, spouses of employees. I like to frame it that way, as I'm, because here I am using school time and I'm talking about school stuff, but
it's okay.
But
Yeah.
it involves people from all over our community.
It does.
It's really exciting. It's a good collaboration supported by GBC, and I could probably talk for a while about it, but
we'll have to have you come back for the half hour with the cast. Yes.
It's going to be fun. I promise you that it'll be a good time. And there's a couple little surprises in there. And I will say this too: if you're familiar with the show, but you've only ever seen the movie with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin and all them, it's got quite a different ending than the movie does. So it'll be a whole different take on it than what you might have remembered from that movie from the, I don't know, was it the 80s, mid-80s or something? I don't know when it came out. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, CJ. Well, that is fantastic, and I think some students are even growing some plants or something. There's some
Yeah,
something
I don't want to
cool.
give all the surprises
Oh,
away,
no,
though, Lori.
okay. I didn't know that. Okay, yeah. Well, we can just say there are plants in the production. There are.
Absolutely.
Yes, all
Yep.
right, awesome, including one towering one, and her name is Audrey, too. So, awesome. Thank you, CJ, and thank you, listeners, for joining us. We had a lot to catch up on today as we visited in studio with our school superintendent, CJ Anderson, for the Elko County School District. Thank you so much for joining us for Elko Live today.